ready?
I'll leave that for the wiser beings. That
Ready?
is not I.
Ready?
What am I ready for?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. I am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific cobbler himself, Zealeus.
Yo! So apparently I'm ready for the Thursday Night Podcast, which is brought to you by Charlie!
Yay! It's brought to you by beer.
We like beer. I have a bottle which is closed.
Thanks.
Or open.
Add that to my collection.
I could start doing cough syrup, man. It's all the rage I hear. I can just start inhaling it.
Right.
No, not so much.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of stuff to get through.
I'm over it, man.
I'm over it!
Let's go! I'm
done! Alright, now let's get through some news here. Okay. So this actually came out, I think, the first week in January, but we're just going to touch on it really quick because it is tragic, and yet it definitely happens a lot. And that, of course, is there was a Taiwanese individual who went on a 3-day straight gaming marathon in one of the internet cafes.
That's a lot, yeah.
This gentleman passed away as a result of these 3-day straight gaming marathon. And the big thing is everyone's like, well, how the hell did you let that happen? Shouldn't you have known that this guy was dead? Well, it turns out this guy was a local. He frequented the place, and he was known for doing very long gaming sessions and then taking naps, either on the table or in the chair. So they didn't really notice anything until basically rigor mortis set in. And they're like, that's not right. So they called the ambulance, and of course they were many, many hours too late. And unfortunately, the gentleman passed. Now, the craziness is that this story was reported on January 8th. Okay? January 8th. This is the second case this year in Taiwan alone of an individual passing away as a result of a multi-day gaming marathon. Zealeus, thoughts?
There's really nothing non-serious I can say about that. I mean, it sucks. I mean, gaming in moderation and stuff. And,
right.
You kind of wonder, if you sit there and, you die from gaming, if there's some other kind of underlying health issue. You think they would pass out in their chair and tumble over before dying. I mean, I know people in college who would marathon game and they literally just fall asleep at their table, and nobody in my dorm died from Evercrack. Well, maybe the guy kicked out of school, but that's as far as it went.
Okay, so I think the gentleman was actually in his 50s. So maybe his body just couldn't keep up. I don't know.
It's a young man's sport.
It is. As we discussed last week with the esports stuff, we wear out the older population.
It's terrible, man. My wrist just ain't what it used to be.
I know. But, okay, so, yes, gaming in moderation, absolutely. This actually, I don't know if this actually reminds me of a really sad story about two parents who were charged with severe neglect when they were arrested for leaving their baby unattended for 30 straight hours because they were having too much fun. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. They were enjoying themselves so much at the local internet cafe while they played a game about taking care of a virtual baby.
Huh. So, what this reminds me of?
Yes.
That's hopefully not so dreary and downcast. I might have to start drinking cough syrup straight to get over my depression. Do you remember back in the day, I know they had one, I think it was a Perimeter Mall. It was the gaming cafes. Sure. No, not the arcade.
What? Not the arcade?
Not the arcade. It was actually, maybe it was Perimeter. I know it was one of those malls that I went to with my mom. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it was the store, and they actually had like PCs and computers that, you could rent out for X amount per half-hour block. And I remember, because back in the day, not everybody could afford, good computers.
Right.
So this was the game, and I remember playing those. And the awesome thing about that setup, because this is also, in AOL still kind of its infancy, is they all had all the LAN set up. Mm-hmm. So, like, you could do, like, this is probably middle school I'm talking, you could do LAN battles, which probably like Mech Warrior or something like that, I'm guessing, back in the day.
Mhm.
and you'd go to these LAN things at the internet cafe, and they'd have all these video games, computer games already installed on these computers
Mhm.
that we couldn't play at home because it was pretty cost prohibitive back in the day. So I remember those were actually fun, because I was thinking when I read it, it's like, man, internet cafe, who the hell goes to internet cafe anymore? And I was like, oh man, actually I do remember those back in the day. The video game, not arcade like Tilt, but actual like PC games that were pre-installed in there that you could do. And that was pretty rad.
I don't recall that.
It was a very brief moment in history.
Okay.
Because it was like right. I remember they weren't there very long.
Mhm.
Like I probably only went there 2 or 3 times,
Mhm.
and I used to go with my mom to the mall all the bloody time. So it was a very brief. It was like right after that. It was like right when computers were becoming not so expensive,
Mhm.
but still pretty expensive to have in the house. I mean, it was a very brief period of time that this was a thing. But it was cool. I remember doing that a couple times.
Interesting.
So those, I did enjoy that.
Well, okay, so yeah, it's tragic. It's crazy that it happened.
I'm glad Extra Life is only 24 hours and not 72 hours.
I've done 25, man. I've done 25.
You are dedicated to the cause.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, let's get to a little bit happier news. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know that everyone is thinking this. We need to talk about Microsoft HaloLenses for Windows 10.
It is the holodeck coming to real life.
Okay, so
It actually looks awesome.
it looks awesome. Now, of course, all the oh, that reminds me, I need to post trailer
About the holodeck infancy.
It looks awesome. Don't get me wrong. And if it were to work as well as the trailer shows it, big screen TVs would be a thing of the past.
So for those who don't know what don't even know what it actually is called, but for those
the
who don't know,
HaloLenses.
The HaloLenses. For those who don't know, it looks like a VR helmet that you're putting on. It looks like a VR helmet, but it's not VR. Basically, it does holographic projections. Some people call it like holograph. That basically allows you to basically do an augmented reality of what you're seeing. So say, for instance, we have this desk right here. You're sitting in your office, and you have desks and tables and chairs. The example that they showed was Minecraft. So what happened with the Minecraft is all of a sudden on your table it started building castles. And then over here behind you is nighttime, so you started seeing zombies. And it was actually pretty freaking awesome looking. But I was thinking about it. You know what? I was like, what could actually make this work? Because we've had other cool new innovative technologies that kind of seem to go by the wayside. You had like, the Kinect, which, was all the rage back in the day. And people still use the Wii, but the whole motion control thing is kind of sort of a fad.
I just use the voice control.
I've never used voice control in my life because I'm like, I hate the voice control. You got stuff, like the 3D. You had the Game Boy 3D way back in the day. Now you got the 3DS. I think what it comes down to is it has to be natural. And I think that's a problem with a lot of these peripheral devices. It's like they try to add them on, but they're not a natural element of gameplay or your everyday activity. It's like it's an extra element that you have to think about or consciously work for versus just picking up and doing it.
Right.
I think that's what's going to make or break this device. I would still think it's 5-10 years out from being a realistic everyday usage, but it has to be just natural. You don't really have to work to make it work. It just does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
And to me, that's the big thing because with the Wii and the motion controls, I have to stand up, I have to do stuff. This sucks. It's just not the natural way that we play games or interact with our electronic devices. And I think that's the big thing. That's why the phones are so popular now, is because it's just a natural extension of your arm now. It's so natural, throw up your messages and Facebook and all that stuff. It's right there, immediate access. It's not complicated. It's easy. It just works.
So I'm very excited about this. I like new technology. My issue with any kind of augmented reality is depth and memory placement. So like when the guy's walking, once you see the trailer, if you haven't seen it yet, like he's walking around his kitchen, and on his refrigerator door is like his reminders or like a calendar or something. First of all, how do the glasses know that's where it is? I mean, is there going to be some kind of technology that's like a spot check of, okay, this is where I need to put it?
Mhm.
And also, it's all about like if I'm looking if the if the fridge is at a slant, is the thing going to pop off like this, or is it going to be flat on the fridge? So like the Minecraft thing, like he walks into the room and boop, there it is. Minecraft is here, there. What happens if I start walking backwards? Does it walk off the table, or is it lock into place? Because that's one of the biggest issues for me, is that and this is why a lot of this augmented reality stuff kind of takes you out of what feels natural, is that it's not natural. It'll like, oh, look, it's got a height placement. So they'll put it on the table. But if you walk backwards, it has a finite distance. And so it will try to drop to where that level is instead of trying to hold it in place. So what is the depth of field? I mean, that would be interesting for me to figure out. Now, of course, I'm sure these glasses are going to be hell expensive.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know.
But it's very interesting. I have to say that I am intrigued.
Well, between that and the Google Glass, and then you got the
Well, Google Glass has gone away.
it's going to come back as something
Well,
else.
we're right. They're going to spin it off to its own company, and then they're going to reinvent it because, to be honest with you, a lot of people are like, I don't really like it.
But then you also have the Oculus Rift. So I mean, I guess what I'm going is you have a
And
lot
you have
of
the what's the PlayStation virtual reality? I want to call it Morpheus. I think it's Morpheus. I could be wrong.
But I mean, you got a lot of these companies who are really investing a lot of money and resources and time into these, heads, some kind of heads-up display device.
Right.
Be it the VR, the Google glasses, the
HaloLenses.
projector, whatever you want to call it. You got a whole lot of different ideas that they're really trying to figure something out that's going to work.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
I'm very interested to see what happens. And of course, they showed off Minecraft, which of course makes total sense because Microsoft owns all of Minecraft now, as a great jumping off point. But also, I'd be very interested to see how you can physically interact. I mean, I know that if you're like, oh look, it's a phone, and you went like this, your hand would go through it. But
Tactile feedback.
well, how does the glasses know how close you are to the object? I mean, I've got 1,000 questions, and I'm sure.
You know what? You'll have to buy one to find out. Yeah.
Or I'll just keep watching the trade shows and all that stuff.
I think you should buy one.
All right, let's move on. Phenomenal stuff there. Awesome. Next up is, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered the age, the dynasty of the MOBA, where everybody and their mother, who has enough money, is going to try to create a MOBA. You have your top three. You have League of Legends, you have Dota, you have Smite, and you have all the others.
Is Smite really in the top three?
Yes.
Okay.
Smite is the number 3 MOBA in the world.
Okay.
So, booyah!
I always thought Heroes of Norath, or however you say it, was above Smite still.
No, it's never been above Smite.
It was around before Smite.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. It's been
No,
around.
Smite has been in beta longer than Heroes of Norath has been in existence.
All right.
So, anyways, moving on. A new MOBA has entered the arena.
What's new? Why? They should fight to the death.
This time, it is The Witcher. Seriously, it's The Witcher. I don't.
I was actually kind of looking forward to Blizzards. They had one. Then they canceled it.
The what?
Blizzard had one once upon a time. Wasn't it Blizzard? Who was it?
Blizzard still has one. It's called Heroes of Norath.
No, I'm thinking a different one. Who was that company? It was a big company, and it seemed cool, and then they canceled it.
You talking Dawngate? You talking EA?
Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. So Witcher is doing one that's very exciting.
Yes, The Witcher is doing one. Very exciting stuff. you will get to play as many of the different characters in The Witcher and battle other individuals from the Witcher series. Now here comes.
They do some pretty great games. So as far as they have a very good track history, though.
But here's okay. So here's my issue.
So there's a positive.
Right, but here's my issue, and I apologize ahead of time. But I like the romantic side of The Witcher and how The Witcher basically got all the hot chicks into bed. I'm just gonna say it.
You're such a romantic.
I know, but here's the crazy thing. Let's see here. Play as Geralt of Rivia. Philippa Einhart. Is that it? You can't just play as two different individuals.
They have to have Tessa.
I'm sure they have Tessa. They probably just named two people in the press release.
I would think
Anyways, here's the real curveball though. This is for tablet devices.
Interesting.
So, if you're thinking about getting the Witcher MOBA, which apparently is free to play, but of course has microtransactions in it, if you are going for the Android, you're looking at the Galaxy S3, the Nexus 7, the 2012 version, or later.
I'm out.
Nexus 10, the HTC One S, the Galaxy Tab 3 8-inch, the Galaxy 4 8-inch, the Galaxy Tab Note 10.1-inch, and the Galaxy Tab Note 8-inch. Now, of course, there's also the iOS route, which if you have an iPhone 5 or above, you're in good hands. iPad 3 or above, you're in good hands. iPad Mini 2 or above, you're in good hands.
So wait a second. So I could play this on my iPhone 6.
Yes.
But you can't play. I didn't hear you saying anything about Nexus phones. Like the Nexus 4.
No, I didn't.
That's interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting that if it comes out for iPhones.
Well, I would okay, so those are example of devices. It looks like what you really need is a CPU dual core for Android. You need a dual core 2X, 1 gig of RAM, Adreno 220, Mali 400. I'm guessing those are the video cards, and 600 megabytes of free disk space.
Interesting. When does this game come out?
It's out!
Dude, no way!
It's out. So go get it if you want.
I can play MOBA at school. I mean, in my free time.
Yeah, exactly. So be on the lookout. I mean, or go get it. You can download it right now from the Android store, the iOS store.
It's just called Witcher.
The Witcher Battle Arena, I believe is what it's called.
Let's see if it shows up on my phone. I'm kind of curious.
Zealeus is going to look it up.
I'm very curious. Let's just Google Witcher and see what happens.
I'm sure it'll come right up. If you spit, no, I'm just kidding.
It's everybody's tracksuit. The Witcher 2
not the comic
book.
There it is, right there.
The Witcher Battle Arena by CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, hey, look, it's Health and Manivars.
Gesundheit!
Gracias. With action-packed gameplay, single-player and team play ready. Woo. With free gaming done right.
Woo.
And you get to progress your hero into more badass-looking swords that glow.
Glow! So if you're interested in MOBAs, because I know there's, okay. So let's bridge this topic right here. I was going to go for another topic, but we're going to keep that one for off to the side for just a second. All right. So like I said, it is now the age, the golden age of MOBAs, where everyone who wants to have a MOBA is going to at least try. And of course, The Witcher is the newest of the bunch. But I do,
which I'm now downloading.
I do have to say that I have seen a push to have MOBAs on the tablet or on a mobile device.
Yes.
So, Zealeus, what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't think you have any like esports at all for that, but
dude, it's because this is for noobs and scrubs.
All right.
I say that as an elitist jerk.
Well, okay, but I mean, you got to think that if you're dealing with the touch screen, that it's got to be simplified, right? You can't, because with me, I've got the mouse in one hand, I'm doing the WASD in the other, and I've got my keys, right? And of course, I have my mammoth hand, so that's definitely not going to work on a phone for me.
Well, I'll find out hopefully when I get to play it eventually. But I imagine you click to move,
All right.
and then you still. I mean, MOBA is relatively simplistic in that you only have like the 4 attack buttons.
Right.
So luckily you don't have that much in that regard.
Right.
My big problem when it always comes to action style games on a touchscreen is the placement of the buttons. Like in terms of hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, because most MOBAs has to be a very exact timing.
Right.
And getting it just right to hit that one, I'm probably going to miss because I don't have tactile feedback. Like I can't feel where that one is.
Right.
Like a normal joystick.
Right.
So that's what I'm kind of curious with. Is how is that going to work?
You're right.
Just some people are probably better at it. People, especially the upcoming generation of gamers, who are used to not necessarily having a keyboard or a gamepad. They might be a little bit better at it than some old fogey like me.
Right. Well, I'm very interested to see. I mean, I just want The Witcher 3. Can we just have The Witcher 3? Is that too much to ask?
It's been advertised, man. It's all over the place.
What is it called? The Wild Hunt or something like that?
I saw it at the video game store. Yeah.
Yeah. So give me that. I'm no offense, but I'm kind of don't overload me. Like if you give me a bunch of MMOs, I might play like an MMO. I'll probably play until I find one that works, and then I'll dump the rest. So for this one, I've already found my MOBA. So,
but it seems like that happens with a lot of genres. You like with MMOs. You first you had World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Well, first you had EverCraft, then World of Warcraft.
Right.
But then now you had all these MMOs that then followed in the footsteps to try to jump into that space. It kind of the same thing with MOBAs. You kind of start out with LOL, and now you have these other games that everybody's jumping into. It's like, let's all make MOBAs, man. So it seems like a lot of genres. It doesn't take very long for them to get saturated to come with something relatively new. Because in the history of gaming, MOBAs is still pretty new.
Right.
Well, I guess it depends on how old World of Warcraft is. I mean, not World of Warcraft, just
Warcraft 3.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see. Best of luck to, was it?
CP Red or something.
CD Red Project, CD Project, whatever. Best of luck to you.
They can do it.
Yeah. Okay, now, since we are on the topic of mobile, I want to bridge this topic, and that is mobile games being ported to the PC.
Like, by mobile, do you mean this?
Yes. By like phone games being ported to the PC. Because it's okay. So I've seen this a couple times now, and
I don't know.
It slightly disturbs me because it's strictly a port. Okay, you're not changing the verbiage. You're not changing any of the controls. Instead of the tap the screen, you're just clicking. Okay.
Yeah.
In my mind, this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, if you're going to port, if you're going to go from a small mobile device to the PC, which is definitely more, potentially more powerful.
You would hope it's more powerful than my cell phone.
Right. Well, they're trying to catch up. Right. Exactly. You would hope. I would want to see some difference from the mobile version.
But you're saying that as someone who's going to play both versions. 98% of people aren't going to care that there's 2 versions of it.
No, but okay, so let's say that, everyone's talking up the mobile version, but you don't have a phone that'll play it, and finally comes out on the PC. Wouldn't you think, holy crap, if everyone's talking about how awesome it is on the phone, how much awesomer is it going to be on my PC?
But at the same time, if you play it on your PC, then you get the authentic mobile version. So you're playing it just like your friend on their mobile device, because it's a strict port. You said it yourself.
Lack of enhanced audio. There's no. It's all read the dialogue. There's no animations.
Now, are these maybe from smaller studios who maybe don't quite have the resources to make a proper? Oh, hell, what am I saying? Other companies, AAA titles, do terrible, terrible, terrible ports.
Look, if you are going to port a game from one platform to, I'm not saying a totally different platform, but something that is, if you're going to port your game from like, the PlayStation Network to the Xbox Marketplace to the Ouya to whatever other, small little Android device, fine. That's fine. Just keep it that way. But when you're making a jump from a cell phone to a PC, do it right. In my opinion, doing it right is giving you a different, more in-depth experience for the platform you're going to play it on.
But isn't it easier for them just to make a straight-up port without doing those things?
Absolutely.
Well, that's how they're looking at it. Is what's going to cost them the least amount of money.
Yeah, but they're not going to make any money off of it because everyone's going to be like, what the shit is this?
And games still make money when they say, what the shit is this? Look at Farmville.
Okay. Farmville is a totally different demographic, okay? You're not going to have...
This is the same demographic as that demographic. They're just going to maybe have it on the PC now.
Soccer moms are not going to play an in-depth RPG that was on your cell phone on your PC.
Hey, man, it's a new generation of soccer moms.
No. Look.
They grew up on Mario. They're going to get with the times.
Okay, I understand. You may not have, the sophisticatedness of an artist who can give you better graphics. That's fine. But when your native resolution for your game after it's ported on the PC is your phone screen size, so the game starts like whoop, 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 in the middle of your computer, that's not right.
Maybe they're just running an emulator. They're running an iOS emulator, and that's how you're playing the game.
Right.
Hey, man. If you can do DOS box, you can do iOS box.
I don't think so.
Damn it.
I think that would be illegal.
Well, that doesn't stop people from doing it anyways.
But it would be illegal. And if someone were to come out with that, there would be a lot of people who are trying to push that envelope and utilize that framework to do much better things.
Well, Apple would smack down on that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Once Apple figured it out. It's just like this is a long time ago, and this probably shows my age, but there was an app for the iPhone way back in the day that was a flashlight that it utilized your screen as a flashlight, and it would change different colors. But the thing was, there was a hidden setting that actually allowed for your phone to become tetherable, and then you can utilize the data network off your phone to do your computer. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I was not fast enough to get that app. Otherwise, that would have been awesome. But anyways, and I'm pretty sure they probably, even if I had the app, they probably buried that loophole pretty quick.
Yeah.
You would think, unless you're Sony.
Still like it.
Unless you're Sony.
And who the hell ever knows with Sony?
Oh, we were supposed to update our security?
10 years ago?
And then after the previous attack where they stole 2 million people's credit cards?
But Windows 98, man, it's so stable.
Oh my God.
We got the SE version. We just upgraded from Windows ME.
Forget that, man. I'm going back to Windows 3.11.
Shoot,
for workgroups.
Let's just use DOS. Just use DOS.
All I'm saying is that, in my opinion, okay, as a reviewer, as a gamer, if you are going to move a game from a smaller device to a bigger device, I would want to see some improvement. Now, if you were going from a bigger device to a smaller device, and you're able to basically incorporate those game mechanics and put it into the smaller device, that's awesome. That's fantastic. If you could keep all or almost everything from the PC to the mobile, but it doesn't work in the reverse direction.
Well, but the reality is they just want to make the quickest buck possible. With the least amount of resistance from going from the mobile to the PC. There you go. That's the way of the world, man.
I don't. Okay, fine. I don't agree with that mindset. I just don't agree.
You're an idealist, yeah.
I am an idealist. Gosh darn it! I want people to be able to make the games they want to be able to make, and I want them to be done right. I don't want people to create shovelware. I hate shovelware, and shovelware buries some of the most amazing, awesome games, especially on the iOS marketplace, and to some extent the Android, the Google Play marketplace. I want to be able to fully recognize and appreciate the cream of the crop. Yes, no, I understand that there are going to be games that potentially amazing studios might have a rocky start. They might make something that's slightly, and it might go unrecognized because if you have all the cream at the top and it kind of settles in the. I understand that, but that is why you get marketing. Yes, I understand. Not everyone has money for marketing, but you could do a grassroots campaign. You could reach out to reviewers and fellow developers and say, "Hey, can you talk on my here's a copy of my game. Can you talk it up?" And you build it from there. And then, my God, if it's good or if it's worth mentioning, it will start to rise. Never, ever, ever believe the mentality that the product will speak for itself. Look how bad that has ended up for companies. No offense, Ouya, but as soon as you were done with your Kickstarter campaign, you went, poof, and where the only place you could get the information was your Facebook page, your Twitter feed, and your website. One problem: if someone doesn't already know about the Ouya, they won't hit any of these 3 sites.
Can I get an amen from the congregation?
Hallelujah! Okay.
Breathe.
It's been a long day for me, ladies and gentlemen, so I apologize. I am a little bit wound up. I did not get a lunch break today. I did eat lunch, but I did not get to break for lunch. So I literally was like shoveling baked potato in with one hand, and I was trying to fix issues with the other hand.
It sounds dirty.
I got, it was not, my desk was a mess.
It was dirty.
Yes.
I understand. That's why I don't eat lunch on my desk, because
That's the only place I can eat it.
my problem is I'm kind of a messy eater.
Oh, I am too,
And
but I don't have a choice.
Whenever I eat food at my desk, I inevitably spill something. So I'm like,
I have no choice.
my excuse is I own my own keyboard and I don't want to ruin it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, we have breached the 30-minute mark. I want to just show you. I was giving you, like, the Kickstarter stuff, the indie stuff last week. I'm going to give it to you again. This just came in. Not that. This, ladies and gentlemen, is yet another rule book for like a pencil and paper RPG. I think this one actually utilizes cards, like a deck of cards. I think
it does look. I looked through it and it did look pretty actually fun to read.
It is called
Enter the Shadowverse.
Shadow Side.
Enter
Destiny.
the Shadow Side Destiny.
I believe Destiny might actually be the rule set.
I was gonna say it's also a video game. I hear.
You see,
Supposedly.
some people might argue that. Just kidding. Well, maybe I'm not. But anyways, so there you go. So check it out. I don't know how close to the camera I am right now because I closed the wrong window. Boom. There it is. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
So check it out. And okay, let's break it down real quick. Zealeus, what are you playing?
I've been smiting my life away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a little bit frustrated by the lack of accountability for disconnects or in-game solutions to disconnects. And what I mean by that is you can play a conquest game and it might last 45 minutes. In a normal game, if both teams kind of suck, but that's okay.
Right.
But, you get in and you can see immediately that one player from a team, it could be my team or the opponent's team, is disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, you think if somebody's disconnected for like 5, even 10 minutes, that eventually the game would just say, screw it, let's get a new player in here. Or like some way to balance that out. Like there's no mechanism for balancing out disconnects. That's my biggest issue with Smite right now, is the disconnects. It's just getting aggravating.
Okay.
Where it's just like every single game there's a disconnect.
I agree with that. I wish that there was some kind of mechanic where that there are people queuing up for another round of conquest.
Yeah.
So why not drop? Now, okay. So here's the one issue that I foresee, and that is that let's say there is someone who's willing to jump in, but they bring their own character in. which could completely change the strategy for the other team.
I could see that.
Would you?
Well, here's how I look at it, though.
Okay.
Is so in Smite, you have, let's call it normal games, and you have ranked games. I think for the normal Conquest series, I think it's fine, because let's be honest, strategy goes out the shit in normal games. People are like, I'm mid. No, I'm mid. Whatever, man. We got 2 junglers, yo. So, like, when it comes to Conquest, I don't really care about
Heal me! Heal me! Why did you heal me? Because you're at the enemy Phoenix, and we haven't taken out any towers.
So, I understand what you're saying about the team composition.
Right.
But at the same time, team composition in normal games mean jack squadoos because everybody's doing their own damn thing.
Okay, but here's the curve that I throw. Let's say that you're 30 minutes into the game. Okay? Everyone is magically either like level 18, 19, or 20. Someone drops out.
Yep.
You get a replacement. That person. Okay, let's say that the person who drops out was playing, I don't know, Cupid. And then the person who replaces him is playing Poseidon or Zeus. Do they automatically get that leveling? So they literally just like build up all that stuff? And what about the gold?
I think I hear what you're saying, and I would do it one of 2 ways.
Okay.
I would either A, depending on which is lower, have some kind of mechanism where either, yes, you come in as that player's level, or maybe you come in as the lowest level player in the game.
How about lowest level of the other team?
That could work too. Or I think either team is fine.
Okay.
So I think either team, whoever's lowest level of the entire game, you come in as that level, I think could be fair. I think as far as gold, maybe the same thing, where you come in with the lowest gold of any player in the game.
You're talking gold in hand or gold collective during the match?
I think gold collecting, because you wouldn't actually have any year when you come into the game, obviously.
Right.
So I think you'd have like the lowest gold of whatever anybody in the game has.
Okay.
So that way you're the lowest, but obviously you're going to be weak compared to everybody else, but it's still better than being a man down the entire damn game. But I think some kind of mechanism like that, I think, would make it a little bit more balanced for those teams. That's kind of what I would go with, is something like that. And then, you know, because what I've seen in other games, like I know when you're queuing up, say, for instance, for a lot of dungeons and MMOs, you have a little checkbox that says join game in progress.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can have, because people don't want to miss out on like loot from bosses that have already been dropped.
Right.
So you could do the same thing with, you know, Smite, or, you know, somebody queuing, you can have the option of whether or not to check that box.
Okay, so let's say that they have that box.
Yeah.
Would the individual who's willing to jump in game be able to see the characters from both teams before they decide their god, or do they randomly select the god?
I think they
hope the god it works.
They can see the gods from their team,
but not the other team.
Correct. It's just like a normal. What's the word when you pick your team?
Selection.
Yeah, it's just like a normal selection process where you see your own players.
Okay.
I think that's perfectly fair. But at the same time, just like a regular Smite game, where if you get on, you're like, ooh, I don't like my team composition, just like a normal game, if you then leave the game, you get some kind of penalty.
You do get a penalty, especially if you get reported.
That's what I mean, but kind of the same way, where if you check that box and you decide you don't like that team composition, you get the same penalty regardless.
Oh, I think that if you're willing to jump in, if you do that checkbox and you get to the god and you actually select the god and go into the game, I think that you should get maybe even further penalized, because you are a replacement and you basically are saying that you're vouching for the fact that you're going to be a good teammate.
Or how about this? Okay, how about this as an idea, though?
Okay.
Maybe instead of having the human element, maybe after X amount of time, what if his CPU takes over that player?
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely have to have them. It would be.
The only problem I could see with the CPU taking over is the CPU AI is pretty terrible.
They're pretty
in Smite. And that's...
But that's what...
that's why you play CPU.
A confidence booster.
So that could be a potential issue with balancing, is all of a sudden now you might get a player that's just going to feed the other team. Because, you know, the CPU gets like a Loki. I'm pretty sure the CPU doesn't play Loki worth a damn. I'm just going down a limb here.
Right.
So if the CPU gets a Loki, all of a sudden, as that team, you're like, shit, I'd rather just be a man down than have Loki feeding the other team.
Right.
As a CPU player. So maybe that's not the best option.
Right.
But it just seems like there's the game, I think, for especially lower level games, really gets thrashed way too often by DCs. I've only had one complete troll. I've only had that one game that I just had a total asshat troll. The others are just disconnects for whatever reason.
I had one dude who took a phone call in the middle and disappeared for 15 minutes.
Nice.
So.
Alrighty, so what are you playing?
Oh, let's see. What is Charlie playing? I'm playing, well, apparently I'm now playing, well, Zealeus was playing Gunslinger 2. I will play some at some point. I was playing a game called Deity Quest. I probably will not be continuing that, and I'll show Zealeus why right after this podcast, or videocast. Supreme League of Patriots, I think.
I think I say Assassins.
No, it's a fun point-click adventure game. I'm going to check that out. Sorry, I got to check around my book. Okay. Oh my God, Blackguards 2. That's what I'm playing. That's
Data Lake.
Yeah, Data Lake Entertainment, friends. Be on the lookout for a review. I just posted the quick peek. For some of you, it's probably a little bit too much information, but if you're in...
That is when I will be checking out that quick review. I am curious about Blackguards.
It is interesting! Definitely check it out. Trying to think if there's... Oh, I've got 2 iOS games that I'm going to be writing up short reviews for. I'm not going to say there's not a lot to it, but it's just not a lot to review. Because it's really... They're 2 very easy games to get into. One is called Infinite Stairs, and the other one is called 1010. 1010 is kind of like, sort of like Tetris, and Infinite Stairs, well, you're climbing infinite stairs. Stairs everywhere. So, yeah, that's it. So, would like to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure to give you all the amazing thoughts that came over our heads. And, of course, it is awesome when we actually have some sort of agenda so we can keep ourselves from completely rambling for the entire 30 minutes.
You do a pretty good job anyways. So.
I know. But, you know, it looks better when
That's
we
why I
have an
pay the
agenda.
big bucks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.